Hans in luck. Once upon a time, there was a man named Hans. Hans wasn't the smartest or the richest man around, but he had one thing going for him: incredible luck. He believed in going with the flow of life and didn't care much about what others thought of him. One day, after working hard for his boss for 7 long years, Hans decided it was time to visit his dear mother. He asked his boss for his wages, and his boss, pleased with Hans's dedication, handed him a large lump of shiny silver. Hans wrapped the silver in his handkerchief, slung it over his shoulder, and began his journey home. He walked slowly along the road and soon met a man riding a horse. The man on the horse looked fancy and comfortable, and Hans couldn't help but think out loud, "Oh, how wonderful it must be to ride a horse!" The man on the horse overheard Hans and decided to strike a deal. "I'll give you my horse in exchange for that lump of silver," he said with a smile. Hans agreed, thinking it was a great trade. As Hans rode the horse, he couldn't resist trying to make it go faster. He smacked his lips and shouted, "Jump!" The horse bolted, and before Hans knew it, he was thrown off and landed by the roadside. The horse would have run away if it weren't for a passing shepherd with his trusty cow. Hans got up, a bit battered but not broken. He looked at the calm and gentle cow and thought it was a much better companion than the mischievous horse. The shepherd, understanding Hans's predicament, agreed to trade the horse for the cow. Hans was pleased with this new arrangement, as he could now enjoy fresh milk, butter, and cheese from his newfound friend. As Hans continued on his journey, the sun grew hot and he became terribly thirsty. He decided to milk the cow to quench his thirst. However, much to his surprise, the cow had no milk. Hans hadn't checked if the cow was a good milker, and he now regretted his oversight. He clumsily attempted to milk the cow, which annoyed the poor animal. In frustration, the cow kicked Hans on the head, knocking him unconscious. Fortunately, a passing butcher with a pig in a wheelbarrow saw the commotion. The butcher helped Hans to his feet and offered him some water. Hans realized that the cow was of no use to him if it couldn't provide milk. The butcher, feeling sorry for Hans, offered to trade the cow for the fat pig he was wheeling along. Hans agreed, and with the pig in tow, he continued his journey, thankful for the butcher's kindness. As Hans ventured on, he met a man carrying a plump white goose. Curious about the bird, Hans told the man about his string of trades, starting with a pig and ending with the goose. The man then warned Hans that the pig he had might have been stolen. Frightened at the thought of trouble, Hans quickly proposed a trade, his pig for the man's goose. The man accepted the deal. Feeling relieved, Hans carried the goose onward, thinking about the delicious roast it would make and the fat he could use for cooking. As Hans continued his journey, he encountered a cheerful scissor grinder, working his wheel and singing a merry tune. Hans watched with admiration and remarked, "You must be quite well off, Master Grinder, to be so happy at your work." The grinder smiled and explained that being a grinder was a profitable job, always filling his pockets with money. Intrigued, Hans shared his trading adventure, starting with a pig and ending with a goose. The grinder suggested that Hans could have even more luck if he became a grinder like him. He offered to trade Hans a grindstone for his goose. Eager for more good fortune, Hans agreed to the trade and received the grindstone. As he continued his journey, Hans grew tired and hungry, having given away all his money along the way. He rested by the side of a river, placing the heavy grindstone beside him. While he stooped down to take a drink, he accidentally nudged the grindstone, sending it rolling into the river. Instead of being upset, Hans rejoiced. He realized that the heavy stone was no longer a burden, and he felt incredibly lucky for the stream of good fortune that had come his way. Hans thanked the heavens for his newfound freedom from the ugly grindstone, and, with a light heart, resumed his journey. Eventually, He reached his mother's house and shared the story of how easily he had found good luck along the way. The story encourages us to appreciate life's small blessings, be content with what we have, and not always chase after material wealth or possessions, as true happiness may already be within our grasp. Did you enjoy the video? Not only did you learn a valuable life lesson, but you also boost your English skills with our stories. Hit the bell for updates. Thanks for watching. Take care.